Sorry.
Okay. Hi, good morning, class.
Hi.
I'm Sarah, and today I want to share you my very special story. And that story begins like yesterday. Because yesterday, on my desk, I found out that there was a white piece of paper. And you guys know what that paper was? No. Okay, it was a letter from Daddy. And you guys might be wondering, why is it so special? Why is she fussing over something like a white sheet of paper that happened to be her dad's letter? And in order to find out the answer to the question, I need to take you back to when I was 8. Because since I was 8, I never really spent a lot of time with my dad. Either he was abroad or I was abroad, and so I never really had that 12-year experience of sharing your thoughts and memories with Dad. So I was missing that chunk from my life. And as you can see, this is when I went on a field trip during my elementary school. And it was a day where you had to take your dad with you, so they're all dads there, but I didn't have my dad with me at the moment. So I just followed my friend's dad, and luckily her dad took me under his arm for the day, although later on I kind of discovered that, my dad would have been better. But nonetheless, I spent the day with somebody else's dad. So like this, I never really had any good experiences or memories or shared that with my dad. So it was like really, really empty there. And there was also another time, like every day when I left for school, when I said, "Bye Mom, I'm leaving for school," there was no dad. And at night, when I was going to bed, there were no dad to tuck me under the sheets and to kiss me goodnight. So I didn't really realize that emptiness of missing dad until I turned older, because it was like 10 years, 12 years, and I was starting to feel that emptiness inside me. And then this emptiness got really, really bigger, because during dormitory, when I was living in high school, it was very, very far away from home. So I only visited home during like weekends, and I could see Mom and Dad for like once every month or once every 2 months. And it was only then that I started to feel that, there was actually like this physical big chunk missing from my life. And I think that my dad also realized this, because starting from middle school, he started writing me letters. And it started from very short ones to longer and longer ones, and he would leave them every time he came to Korea or send them to me, and it grew larger and larger. So I have like boxes of letters that are in my house, and these are just a few letters from like the past few months. And as you can see, the letter there is a letter that I got after I entered the university. So my dad was congratulating me on, how I did very well so far. And he also told me about how much he enjoyed my spending 1 month with him when he was in China, his second house. And he said he was so happy to have his 2 daughters around for a period of 1 month. And I could already imagine him actually saying that and telling me that, he was really happy. And it's not just a mere form of communication or him telling me that, he's happy. I think it's just another form and a memoir of the past, a memoir and a picture that can actually hold the places and the memories and the emotions all at the same time. And I think it's very important, because it's not just my dad telling me that, "Hi Sarah, how are you doing?" over SNS or other forms of messages. It's like he's taking a snapshot of his emotions and my emotions, and he can picture me. And I know that he took the time to actually think about me, contemplate about who I am, and to write down the words. I could imagine him writing that letter at like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning before he left to the airport to go back. And it was already really heartwarming at the moment. And because other people knew that I was really interested into letters, I started receiving other letters too from my friends and even from myself. And as you can see, I can already picture myself writing this letter, because it's dated 2013, July 15th, 16th, because I didn't have a cell phone at the time and I didn't know the date. So I just put a question mark there, and I wrote it in a red booth near the ocean. And I thought that it would take a year there, but then it turned out that it was a really slow letter. So it arrived at like, just a few months before. And I can picture that moment. It's just not like a recording. It's more like a snapshot of the current emotions that you have at the moment. Oh, and also, there were other pictures and other letters that I got from friends, like this one, where she actually drew a lot of pictures to me, and we spent the time together in a painting class. And I can remember her not just because of her letters and messages, but because she put the effort into it, and I know who she was, and I can remember already what she would have felt at the moment too. There are also other post-its too, like this one, like very short ones, and even the ones that like draw giraffes on it because she knows that I like giraffes. And I know that this is not just simple, post-its you can write, because regardless of the length and how pretty it is, I think the letters are very important in that the person who's writing the letters actually takes time to contemplate about who you are and to show that kindness and gentleness, I think itself, is what actually makes letters more interesting than other forms of communication, like SMS messages or emails, and etc. So it comes really down to two advantages that you can have by writing handwritten letters. And I think the first one is that it's really different from other forms. You actually have to take time and you have to think about that person. It takes at least like 20 minutes, at least for me, to write even a short thank you note because I need to contemplate about who that person is, like what that person is like, what that person says, or what he or she is like during class, and etc. And the second reason is because, as I said, it's more like a snapshot. So if you look back at the memos and the notes and the letters that you get, you can see that in the past you were in such context. So it's not just this. And I hope that, the excitement and the anxiousness that I get from receiving the letters, before opening the letters, I hope you feel the same thing too. And when you read the letters over and over again in the future, I hope you'll remember this moment, this context about how I gave a speech and who I was like, because I think that that's really the quality value of what the letters can offer to you. I think that sometimes in this 21st century, instead of just staying at this digital stage, you can go and take a step back to the analog stage. Because although they can seem really old-fashioned, I think that sometimes going back itself can be really important. So I hope you all enjoy your letters and have that feeling of tingling inside your stomach before you open it and read it, because I think that in the long run, it's going to do you really good. Because a letter a day will keep you safe and keep your friendships safe too, for a very long time. Thank you. Oh, and so now we're going to move on to the discussion questions, but if you have any questions or comments, you can add it to the discussion questions as we move on.